we are live. Welcome to the Brown Bag Business Chat. This is Adam Fout, your temporary host, and I've got Randy Skinner here and Heather Steele, and we're going to talk about CRMs today. Do you guys want to say hi?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
And Randy is our project manager. She's also our salesperson, so she knows CRMs fairly intimately at this point. And Heather's worked
Intimately.
Yes, very intimately. And Heather has worked with CRMs for a number of years and implemented them for clients. And we're actually in the process of implementing one, or at least talking about it right now, for another long-standing client of ours. So we wanted to talk about what they are and why they're not just for big businesses. I think there's kind of this conception out there that a CRM is only good when you have, or necessary when you have a fairly medium-sized or large-sized business, but I don't think that's the case. So Heather, why don't you start us off and just tell us what CRM stands for, what it is, what it does.
Yeah, so a CRM is a contact relationship management tool. A lot of people who haven't used like a more current CRM might think of something like ACT. That used to be the really common one back in the day. But there's several on the market, Salesforce, Infusionsoft, Insightly. There's probably a million different CRMs available. But it really just means a place to store all the information that you know about your customers, your contacts, leads, anyone that your business comes in touch with.
All right, that's perfect. Do you have anything to add to that, Randy?
Yeah, I think a CRM actually would be a customer relationship management tool. I think we said contacts, so I think sometimes we use those interchangeably. But the technical term would be, I think, customer relationship management tool. But
Okay.
I think I definitely would add to what Heather said. I mean, it's just a great resource for small businesses. And like you said, I think sometimes small businesses think that maybe it's too expensive. And I know, Heather, we've been doing a lot of research lately about what the cost is. What are kind of your insights that you've found so far about the cost?
Yeah, so there's definitely free solutions that are a great fit for lots of small businesses. But for paid solutions, probably around $9 to $25 a month is going to really take you a long way in the CRM space. So, most people can fit that into their budget. That's a lunch once a month. It's really
Yeah.
not going to be something that breaks the bank. And there are, like I said, free options. So if it's just your one-person business, you're just getting started, budget is incredibly important, or maybe you don't want to commit to paying for something until you really know you love it. Most people do offer an introductory free level of their CRM as well. And we can probably talk, if we have time, later on in the conversation, about specific CRMs that we like and suggest, but it might be better to get a little more info about what they even are
For
first.
the end. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about them. So could you talk just a little bit about contact management generally and why that's so important?
Yeah, and I think it's important to kind of address, Randy mentioned that it's a customer relationship tool, and I said contact. There's a couple of different ways that you can use a CRM, and I think we'll talk more in detail here in a second, but some people use it just to manage the people that they actually already work with, which would be their customers. So at its most basic level, it's a place to put their contact info, store email addresses, phone numbers, information about them, hopefully at least log, when you have a conversation, you make a quick note inside of your CRM. So that, at its most basic level, is just really a place to store information. Some people are doing that in Excel. Some people just use like their contact manager through their email provider. Some people don't use anything and they just try to remember it, which is really kind of scary to me. And hopefully you're not doing that. And then there's certainly more functionality that can be added onto it from there. But at its most basic, it's a place to store information about people.
And I mean, I think the thing that really stands out for me when it's a contact relationship management tool, it's in addition to storing it, you're setting a follow-up or a task in there, and you don't have to worry about fumbling through your Outlook or your Google Calendar to manage these tasks. It's specifically assigned to that individual. So I think that's something that even at the basic level, it's really offers. And like you said, I mean, it's cheap, guys. It's like $10 a month. I mean, if you can't afford that, then
you probably can't afford to have your own business.
That's right. You probably can't afford Microsoft Office Suite either. You probably don't have Excel. I mean, like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really good point, because that means that even a solo entrepreneur can use this. Even someone who's just working by themselves can use this. You don't even necessarily need, you know, a dedicated salesperson or employees. So would you say it's still useful for someone even if they're just running things on their own?
I would say that someone running things on their own needs it more than anybody else. I mean, because if you think about us, like our dynamics, there's 5 of us, and we're throwing things off of each other, and more than likely, if something were to kind of get missed or along the way, one of us is going to remember it. One of us is going to be the checks and balance. And when you're a solopreneur, you don't have anybody else. You only have yourself. And so really you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not using the tools that are out there just at your fingertips for a cup of Starbucks coffee a month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point, that the single person business needs it more so than you know, people that have more staff. I think another thing to keep in mind is you won't necessarily always just be one person. So if you're used to managing all of your tasks out of your email, or you're used to managing your contacts kind of in your own system, it's going to be really hard when you bring on another person and you need them to pick up some of the slack of being able to reach out to contacts or do some sales work or do project management. If you don't already have that foundation in place, then you're going to have to switch to that in the process of also training someone and trying to, you know, get ramped up with a new hire, and it can be a lot of work to try to do amongst everything else. Whereas if you already have the groundwork there, you're used to working out of your own CRM system, you've got your processes in place, it's going to make life so much easier for you.
I mean, if you think about it, you're already doing it. No matter who you are, what your business is, you already have something in place, more than likely, that you're collecting people's emails. It may be a jar that you're throwing business cards in. It may be an Excel. It may be your Outlook contact. I mean, you're already doing this. And so essentially, if you utilize a CRM tool that's out there, you're going to be able to make your task that you're already doing more efficient and have way more features and benefits in the long run. So I think that's kind of, it's not more work, it's maximizing what you already are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
So
I think it's important too that, like, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Please. No, please.
That I had something else to say. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. This is your show, after all.
Temporary.
Only for the day. Don't give him all that credit.
No, he can have it.
Please continue.
I think I know for myself as a small business owner, sometimes we feel like we have everything, like we've got it. It's in our court, we can wrap our arms around it and keep up with it, when in reality, we're only human. Things are going to slip through the cracks. So going back to what Randy said about task management, that's something that is generally included in any CRM system, is a way to set reminders and tasks and events, and sort of a nice way outside of your Google Calendar or however else you manage your meeting schedule, to be able to remind yourself to do follow-up calls, or to touch base with someone, or to follow up on an email that they had sent you. Rather than trying to work out of your inbox and your memory, this is a way to make sure that none of that falls through the cracks, because no matter how good you are, no matter how much you think you've got it, you will forget something. At some point, you're going to forget to call someone back, and you're going to either ruin a relationship, lose their trust, or at the very worst, you're going to lose an opportunity to make a sale.
Yeah. So this is about pipeline management.
No, this is about relationship management.
Okay.
Even if you're not using a pipeline management tool on top of your CRM or in conjunction with it, you still need to take advantage of the task management of being able to remind yourself to call people back, or to check in, or give them an update on a project, or whatever the case may be. You're just not going to remember all of those things. So if you can set yourself reminders in a system, and then also be able to look back at the history of all the things you've done with people, you're going to do a much better job pleasing your clients in the future.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, and there's certainly, like, to kind of speak to what you said, Adam, about pipeline management. I mean, there's certainly pipeline management is one of the features when you're talking about the sales cycle. But what Heather's really talking about is so much on a bigger scale. It's the relationship. It's everything you're doing, not just your sales functions, but any of your contacts for maybe it is just a contact for a partnership or someone that you have an opportunity to work with on a new project that's not necessarily a customer, but maybe y'all are doing something in the industry together. So it's just relationships as a whole, not just your sales bucket, which that's where the pipeline kind of talk would come in.
Gotcha.
Would that be fair, Heather? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation.
Cool.
And probably a good segue into Adam's next talking point.
Well, I was just going to ask generally about pipeline management. Like, how does this all fit together? Because you talk about them as these separate systems. So is there something that kind of brings it all together where, you know, my leads, and my customers all at once, I can kind of see everything?
Yeah, so most CRMs will offer that. Some you're going to have to pay extra to get access to that type of tool. But most of the good ones are going to offer it right out of the box. A system for managing your deals or opportunities or leads or whatever you want to call those potential pieces of business, especially for service industry-oriented people or people who are doing large volume sales. This may not apply so much to people who are selling widgets through their website or people who have a storefront. It's going to be much more difficult to track those opportunities in this way. But for service-based organizations, being able to put everyone into a pipeline. So if you're not familiar with that term, that means just the business that's coming to you. So a pipeline delivers things from one point to the other. So we can look at our sales process in the same way as, you know, people start over on one side and kind of travel through the process until they get to our revenue bucket on the other side. So a good CRM would definitely have a way to manage those things, have tasks associated with them, have dollar values associated with them, and even be able to give you a good forecast of, you know, if we have this deal that's 50% likely to close in February, then I can look at my pipeline and know that I can expect, you know, 50% of that revenue to hit in February, and be able to pull all of my deals in and see that in one report or in one screen.
I think it's also in regard to the pipeline, because you have these variables like the dollar amount, let's say, for your deal that's coming in, or how likely it is to close, probability. There's different variables that you can choose that kind of constitute where they fall in your pipeline. But because you have these, it allows you to eliminate some of those deals that maybe aren't really deals, but you're not willing to admit it to yourself. I think that you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, I think this could really work out, but then when you look at it, there's really not a dollar amount, there's not probability, it's probably not an A prospect for you. Right. And so a pipeline tool can really help you have some checks and balances in place to make sure that you aren't wasting your time where there's really not a main focus for you at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Also, like just going with the, you know, just talking more from the pipeline metaphor, that it can help you to stop from leads from leaking away, or, you know, from people disappearing or forgetting about, oh yeah, I was supposed to follow up with this guy and whatever happened with that.
Yeah,
totally.
It's easy to get busy and just completely forget about people. I mean, it's hard to picture that when you're first starting out, like that you would ever be able to do that. But then once you get busy and you're closing deals and you're working on projects and you're delivering to clients, it's really easy to forget things and to let them fall through the cracks. And so having some sort of system that keeps those things organized and front and center, and you can set reminders and tasks for yourself to stay up to date on them, it's invaluable.
Okay. So, I mean, you talked a little bit about how some types of businesses might not get as much benefit or value out of a CRM as others. Is a CRM good for any business, or are there some, like you said, service-based businesses might be a better fit for a CRM?
Well, I would distinguish between service-based businesses would be able to take better advantage of the funnel or
Okay.
pipeline part of that we talked about.
Right.
In my opinion, every business should have a CRM, regardless of if you're B2C or B2B or how you sell. Because even if it's not your customers that are being managed, you're going to have suppliers, you're going to have vendors, you're going to have other contacts that are key to your business that you need to manage the relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's a different take on a CRM if you have a storefront, let's say, and you don't sell anything online, you don't sell to long-term customers, you're really just doing one-offs out the door. You're still going to have vendors to manage and other relationships that you want to be able to track and keep up with. So a very basic CRM might be a great fit there.
So you mentioned vendors. So can this help with distribution issues as well?
Depends on what you mean by a distribution issue.
I'm just trying to get a better picture of what everything you could do with a CRM.
I think that's a case where your imagination is the limit. Maybe Randy wants to go into a little bit more detail here, but most of the time you're going to be able to customize your CRM, add some fields that you want, really set the kind of tasks and follow-up that you want to. So it's kind of a limit of what you can imagine it doing and what fits for your business.
So CRMs are generally pretty editable or customizable?
A good one is.
Yeah, I think just to kind of speak on that, I mean, as far as if you're talking distribution, if I'm hearing right, that may go more into like an inventory system.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you would want to figure out a way for all of it to talk to each other. I mean, you have an inventory system, your CRM, and they all need to kind of integrate and work together. And so to talk briefly about what Heather was saying, I mean, there's not necessarily one business that's ideal for a CRM. At the end of the day, every business needs a CRM. It's just the way you're going to use it is going to be different. So kind of your goals, your primary objectives, what are you selling? Are you doing a service? Is it an actual product? That's all going to be variable upon which type of CRM system's right for you. So, I mean, there's tons of options, and I think that if distribution is a goal that a business has, we might go at it from a different angle than someone that is, say, selling a service and really just needs to collect people at the end of the day. I mean, if you're selling a service, you're kind of collecting a whole bunch of contacts. So, yeah, I think, though, to bring that up, Adam, it is something that you have to look at the end game.
Okay, so I think both of you have talked quite a bit about integration. Are CRMs generally built to integrate with other systems that your business might need?
Please pick one that is.
Yeah, it's the year 2016. If it can't integrate with other systems, then you've probably found a really bad solution.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
And I also say if you've had the same CRM for over 5 years, it's time to look at it again and just make sure that there's not something out there that's a better fit for you. Because my guess is that if you haven't done something new, even in the past year or two, that there might be something that's more cost effective, that's better for what you're looking to do. So just double check. I mean, you never know, put it out there, put the feelers out.
So are there any features that people should be looking for to be able to say, okay, this is a really good CRM, this is something I wanna look into more?
Number one, you have to be able to create custom fields. And I would say a close second, maybe a tie, is you have to be able to export your data so that when that's no longer a good solution, you can move it around somewhere else. You're not stuck there.
I think that if a business is considering CRM as an integrative solution, that they should get together the top 3 people that are going to be using it and have them list out what they would like it to do for them, because I bet you that what Heather wants it to do is a lot different than what I want it to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be mobile friendly. I want to be able to be out and about in the community and just instantly put a task on there or a contact on there, and I don't have to think about it till I'm back in the office. Whereas, I mean, Adam, for you, I think you probably would find it more beneficial from a project standpoint. I mean, I doubt you care about the people that I'm adding into it until it comes over to you.
I don't care about people at all.
You don't care about people at all.
No, not at all. Okay. Well, great. So maybe we could get a little more specific. What are some CRM solutions out there that you guys are familiar with, or maybe some that you like better than others, or for certain situations?
Well, before I just want to kind of finish
Sure.
this conversation. So
Go
before we talk about specifics, I think we should talk a little bit more about integration and what we mean by that and what can be
Okay.
accomplished by it. So, the most basic integration that you should definitely consider, especially if you have a really productive website, is being able to integrate your site with your CRM. So if you have
What does
forms
that
on your
mean,
website,
Heather?
what?
I said, what does that mean,
What does
Heather?
it
Oh,
mean? What
you
does
cut
any
out,
of this
sorry.
mean?
um, so being able to have people that are filling out forms on your website, that information should automatically go to your CRM. You shouldn't have to have a person in between taking information from one place and putting it into another place. Some other integration points would definitely be any kind of accounting system that you're using should integrate very closely with your CRM so that you can have shared information going back and forth. If your project management tool is separate from your CRM, which in our case we have a project management tool and we have a CRM, they're not all in the same suite.
Mm-hmm.
Those things should integrate so that you can see contact information for your projects and have a nice full circle view of what's going on there. Any other common integrations you can think of, Randy, without getting too crazy?
Yeah, I think that really covers it. I mean, the integration side of it is just anything that you're putting out into the world and asking people to do.
Mm-hmm.
They should do it one time, and then you don't have to think about it again because you have something streamlined and a beautiful process that then just you log in and it's all there, and you get to sip your coffee and you don't even have to think about it. And that's what I love about it. I just come in and I just go through my wonderful list of new things to do. So
Right. Yeah, nobody wants to get information in an email and then have to re-enter it to a CRM.
no,
There is
that's
a
for the
tool
feds.
that kind of does some magic between all these different systems if they don't have a native integration, which that just means that the developers have already built some sort of connection between, let's say, your email marketing tool and your CRM of choice. If that doesn't exist, then check out Zapier, Zapier. That's a really great tool that it's a third-party source, but they can take different websites and different applications and connect them together. And they have thousands of different combinations of tools that you can plug in and use together and send information back and forth. So if you're just super in love with your CRM and it doesn't integrate with your other tools, doesn't mean that it's something you have to abandon, but definitely see if there's some other kind of third-party like Zapier that can help connect those things.
Okay, great. So are we ready to talk specifics? Do we feel comfortable with specifics now?
Sure.
All right, let's hear what are your guys' favorites? What specific CRMs do you have experience with and do you like?
Well, what we're using right now is Agile, and I really like it. Kind of my background and where I came from, a lot of the companies I work with, we use proprietary softwares, and it they're not as flexible. And larger companies, larger corporations typically are going to probably have something more proprietary or custom built. And as a small business, we don't necessarily need that. And also, we don't probably have the budget to throw at it. So utilizing something that's already in place, that's kind of a tool that you can just log into online, like Agile, that's what I love it. It's something that I feel like it can grow with our business. I know that there's a couple of other ones. We recently heard someone's using Insightly, and they've
Mm-hmm.
really liked it as well, and it's super affordable. I personally haven't worked on it. Um, but the cool thing is most of these have free trial. So you can kind of pick maybe your top two or three and go in, set up some accounts, feel it out. That's pretty much what we ended up doing. What else did we look at, Heather?
Yeah, so in the past we have used Insightly before Randy was with us, and
Oh, yeah.
it is a very good basic system. It's got a pretty good pipeline tracking tool. When I used it, it was incredibly slow. So hopefully they've fixed that issue, but it was very slow. Each page refresh was like,
Come on, here we go.
and there it is. I mean, it drives someone like me absolutely insane. So we went away from that. But it does have project management integrated in, which is really nice. It's a pretty good project management tool, but hopefully they've sped up the interface, especially the mobile app was just like ridiculously painfully slow. Another one that we've used in the past is Capsule CRM, and that's a really great, neat and tidy, very easy to use pipeline management tool. It doesn't have quite as much granular control over fields and user access levels as I would like, but it is a really great solution, especially for just a 1 or 2 person shop, just somewhere to keep information on contacts, store your deals, look at your pipeline. It's a really great one. And I've also worked a lot with Salesforce. Salesforce is kind of on the opposite end from Capsule as far as pricing and what it can do. It's really a beast of a CRM. I mean, you can manage call centers and support centers and pay for it. It's definitely not the most economical solution. People who are looking for something that's incredibly robust and can handle lots of users and very granular permissions, it's great. For people who are budget conscious, I wouldn't even bother looking. Unfortunately, you have to pay so much to get any kind of custom features that it's really prohibitive to smaller businesses. So tools like Agile are definitely a better place to start.
And I would say if you're thinking about exploring some options as a small business owner, shoot us an email. Let us know kind of your top 3 goals, your top 3 objectives, and we would love to put together a list of some of our favorites for you to check out. And maybe we could help you along that process. I think sometimes people think that having the experts like us help you through that is super expensive, and that's why I love Blue Steel, is that we really try and work with the small business owner's budget. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help, ask some questions, bounce some ideas off of us.
That's very generous of you. Thank you.
Well,
all those emails to Adam at Blue Steel Solutions.
I'll be sure to forward them on. So we are. I do want to talk a little bit about WordPress and CRM, since we are WordPress fanatics over here. So you talked a little bit about integration with websites and CRMs. Are there any CRMs that are really made with WordPress in mind?
Yes, there's actually a CRM that lives inside of WordPress, which is, can't believe we didn't name it previously, and I hope they don't come back and get really upset with me because they're friends of mine. Uku People is an amazing WordPress plugin. It's a free plugin. You can pay for add-ons to make it more flexible and do some of the things that are really cool. But it is a wonderful CRM that you install the plugin on your WordPress site. Can manage all of your contacts and customer information right from within your WordPress dashboard. And it does a lot of cool things with recording information on what people are doing on your site. Has a lot of cool features with touch points and things like that. So that's definitely one to look for, especially if you spend a lot of time in your WordPress site doing blogs or managing other things for your business. That's a great solution because you're already there. You're already logged in and in that space, so why not use that for your CRM as well?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that really gives you some options that you're just not going to get otherwise if it's plugged in. I mean, being able to handle everything within your website, including the customer relationship management, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they have some pipeline solutions that are coming soon. Right now it's more just contact based and kind of managing your existing contacts by knowing what they're doing on your website. But there should be some really cool pipeline stuff coming down the road too.
Cool.
But definitely any of the big popular CRMs that have integration points, you're going to be able to do that similar integration work with your CRM and a WordPress site.
Okay. All right. Well, we are out of time. So any last thoughts on CRMs generally?
Get one.
Get one. I mean, honestly, if you're a business owner, it's as essential as having a website. You got to have a website. Same thing. You got to have a CRM that integrates well with it. So do it.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, guys, for educating us, educating the masses on CRMs, and we will be back next week, most likely talking about Pinterest. We'll see you guys later.
Ooh, yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.